Listener advisory. This is just a stupid podcast we're doing for shits and giggles, so we apologize to anybody that has to be subjected to, well, you know, all of this. If you stick around long enough, I'm sure you'll see what I mean. If you find dark humor and discussing awful shit with a bit of levity distasteful, well, how do you exist? Seriously, what's your secret and how do you live like that? It's weird. But really, this podcast will probably not be for you, and you'd be better off listening to any of the more somber-toned true crime podcasts that are available, because there are tons of them. For those of you still listening, you sick and twisted fucks, welcome to the worst. If we did this right, hopefully you won't like yourself by the end, but you'll laugh. Hello, and welcome to The Worst, the podcast of everything that is the worst. I'm your host, Mark, and sitting next to me is my lovely wife and co-host, Gina.
Hello.
And together we are always Mental Health Illness Theater.
You almost called us mental health.
Mental Health Theater. Yeah, that's just fucking boring.
Nope.
That is
Wrong.
not what we are. We're Mental Illness Theater.
And we are off to a roaring start, apparently.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yes. It always is.
Yeah.
So how are you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, as always. Finger guns from my wife. Finger guns back. We're very classy. Do you want to hear a story?
I love hearing your stories, honey.
I hope so, because we have a humdinger for today. Oh, this one, the first ones I did, and it was like, oh, fuck this.
I remember.
This is going to be fun to do. This entire thing is going to be fun. Today we're covering, basically, a spree killer in Canada in the early 70s who virtually no one knows about, Dale Merle Nelson. And woof, he goes off. He has a bad night, and he goes.
It's a good one.
There's a lot. There's a lot to it. He definitely, it's his big day out. Yeah.
Dale's big day out.
Dale's big Friday. It's a heavy Friday all day. In the early morning hours of September 5th, 1970, Dale Nelson committed one of the most brutal but unknown spree killings in Canada's history. After a night of heavy drinking and possible drug use, Nelson would kill 8 people in just over an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And the bizarreness of one of his acts during this spree would forever tag him with a horrible prison nickname. So there's not a lot of info on Nelson's early years or what I could find. He was born on March 19th, 1939, so he's a Pisces. Pisces actions through and through today.
All right.
I think so. Once again, we don't really know. We just make fun because we're assholes. Yeah. But by 1970, he was an out-of-work forestry worker with a history of mental problems.
So, you know.
He's an average Canadian.
Yeah. I was going to say.
Nelson, who was 31 at the time of his crimes, had spent time in Saskatchewan before returning to his hometown of Creston, BC. I almost said New Brunswick.
I mean, there is logging here, so I understand.
There is, but I found it funny he's a forestry worker from Saskatchewan.
There's no trees.
There's nothing but fucking wheat and flat.
Yeah, and a lot of canola oil. I mean, they grow a lot of canola.
That's not
forest.
forest.
A lot of corn, a lot of wheat.
That's not forest.
There's really not a lot of forest.
If you don't know, look up fucking Saskatchewan on a map of Canada and you will see the most rectangular anything you've ever seen because it's that flat. They just were like, there's no natural border, just put a border on it.
Driving through it is hysterical.
I've been driving for 3 days and everything looks the same.
Oh, it's not even that long. Like, you can do it in a day from one edge of Manitoba to the edge of Alberta, no problem.
Yeah.
But it's a funny drive because it is just straight and, farms and few trees planted in rows along those farms here and there as windbreaks.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff. But yeah, there's nothing.
Wheat and a couple placed fucking trees.
Right,
so the wheat doesn't fly, or the soil for the wheat doesn't fly away.
You gotta have your tree lines.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. Nelson was a well-liked outdoorsy type of guy, and most people saw him as a nice dude who was just down on his luck. You're back home. We all know Dale. He's fine.
Oh, we're from the Maritimes. We know lots of
We
Dales.
know these guys. Yeah, exactly. He lived with his wife Annette and their 3 children in what amounted to basically a large cabin on Corn Creek Road in West Creston, BC. This is a remote, village. I mean, remote, backwoods, back
BC,
roads,
yeah.
just a couple hundred people in the entire area, which is, and like you said, deep BC,
Yeah.
deep BC interior. Now, we're gonna have some hot takes in this one. Because right from here, we've talked about the 2020 shooting rampage in Nova Scotia, which doesn't get enough play by anyone except for Nighttime and Paul Palongo and Jordan Bonaparte, who does Nighttime. But I'm just pointing out, this is the same kind of area
Oh,
as
absolutely.
Portapique.
Yeah.
Yeah, the backwoods, a couple hundred people, mostly, so...
Yeah, everybody kind of knows everybody.
Keep that in mind. Just down the road from their cabin, Annette's sister, Maureen, lived in another cabin, and across the street from Dale and Annette was their mother-in-law on Annette's side. So their whole family is just on this street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Common in rural areas.
It
If you
really
stick
is,
around,
but-
I mean, like...
I shouldn't say, because I was going to say you don't want to live that close to your mother-in-law, but we lived in your basement with your parents for a while, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than space-wise, it was fine. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. Annette and Maureen's aunt, Shirley Wessick, lived about 200 meters further down the same road, sharing a cabin with her husband and their 3 young daughters, Debbie, who was 12, Charlene, who was 8, and 7-year-old Tracy. Across the Kootenay River from West Creston is the slightly larger town of Creston, which sits on the Crow's Nest Highway. It's about 15 minutes from the U.S. border, a bit northeast of the Montana and Washington state line. So the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
This is as far... It's nothing. I mean, mountain, forest, Yeti. That's it. That's all you have here.
Cougars.
Cougars.
Bears.
Yeah. Pretty much every animal in Canada that can kill you that's not polar is probably going to be in these woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, even by 70s standards, the home life of the Nelsons was not the best.
No?
No.
They weren't having a good time
No.
in the woods?
Everything was not great in the Nelson home. Dale had an alcohol problem, and he was also frequently unemployed. Not surprisingly, he also had the tendency to get violent when he drank. So, I mean, that's a common thing.
Yeah.
So many guys are like that.
It's not a good thing, but it's a common thing.
It reminds me, honestly, of Pierce from Community talking about his Saturday night in the 70s. You'd go out and drink some beer and smoke a doobie, and someone would punch you in the face. It's like that was the night out. This is what we did.
Yeah. It still happens.
The 70s were a violent time. Now, Dale and Annette's marriage had been getting volatile during 1970, and in June, Nelson was convicted of assaulting Annette. Guess what he was given? This is 1970 domestic abuse, or domestic assault.
I'm impressed he was even charged with anything.
He was given a year probation by the court, and he was literally told by the judge to, quote, watch his drinking. Direct quote from the judge.
Don't hit your wife. Just maybe drink less, buddy.
That was my next line. You got where I was going with that. Not even don't hit your wife. Yeah, just, lighten up on
Drink
the
less
drinking.
so you don't get so out of control
You
that
won't
we have
hit
to
her
come
as-
bother with you. Yeah.
You won't hit her as hard
hard.
if you're not
Fuck's
as
sakes.
drunk, and then this won't be a problem.
Oh my god. Cool.
Then later, Nelson caused more friction in his marriage when he went out and got a vasectomy without even mentioning it to Annette.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Though to be fair, if you came home and surprised me with that would just be good news.
Yeah, but we don't want kids in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. They already had, what, 3 though?
3. They have 3
I
children.
mean, seriously, and he's unemployed sporadically with
But you
an
should
alcohol
talk it
problem?
over with your wife. Even if she's down, she probably wants to know.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Nelson also had feelings of persecution and general inadequacy in his life. And this wasn't helped by the fact that he either had partial erectile dysfunctions or he had the full-on Chikatilo limp.
Well, he managed to make 3 kids and felt like he needed a vasectomy, so
Yeah.
at least worked sometimes.
He could have given Annette the old sloppy palm.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
You don't like that?
No, there's something very... No. Ugh.
And somehow, to make it even worse, Nelson thought he had more prowess sexually when he was drunk.
Of course.
So now he gets drunk, he's violent and horny.
Ah, Good combo.
All this led to a marriage filled with a lot of conflicts. Yeah. Dale is a lot to handle.
He doesn't sound like the best husband.
No, he doesn't. Nelson had also experienced mental problems throughout his life, highlighted by multiple suicide attempts.
Pretty rough.
Yeah. In January 1970, he had been committed to the Riverview Mental Hospital in Coquitlam, BC, for 2 months, and while he was in hospital, he was subjected to electric shock therapy.
So Dale's having a really good time.
Yeah, so he is, because he's an unemployed drinker that gets violent when he drinks, beats his wife, has mental problems, has dick problems, and now he's had electric shock therapy. Other than that, this guy's fine.
Yeah, right.
So on Dale's big day, which we'll call it, that's September 4th, 1970, Dale Nelson woke up early and went to some nearby logging companies. He was interested in picking up a couple shifts, but nobody had any work, so he came home that morning. Went out to look for work. There was nothing. No one's hiring.
Yeah.
Around noon, he gave Annette, her sister, and the kids a ride into nearby Creston to go shopping. He decided to pass on shopping with his family, and he gave the car keys to his wife so she could drive home after they were done.
This is a good sign.
So, yeah. He's getting ready.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna go get drunk, aren't you?
Yep. He told his wife not to worry about him and that he would find his way home later. And then he just kind of wandered off.
Yeah.
First, he went to the liquor store and bought a 6-pack and 12 ounces of vodka, which is a pint. I don't know what they call it in America because they have different.
Yeah.
But a pint of liquor. Good old vodka.
Oof.
I'd also like to ask, what kind of marriage is that?
Yeah, right.
I'm going to drive you into town and just leave you with the keys because I am getting fucking hammered at noon on a Friday.
It's not a good one.
Plus, what kind of response is that to going out, not finding work, and just being like, all right,
Fuck it.
this is the rest of my day. Nelson's next stop was the Kootenai Hotel Bar on Canyon Street. And as far as we can tell, this is where this drinking started. In the first hour he was there, Nelson drank 5 beer as he talked to a friend at the bar about the upcoming hunting season that started the next morning. 5 beer first hour talking about hunting in a small town hotel bar in the interior of BC.
Plan to feed his family somehow.
Nelson was an avid hunter, well known in the area as one of the best hunters in town and for being a fucking deadly accurate shot. His friend later said Nelson was in a good mood that afternoon and he didn't show any signs of anger or belligerence, which is rare for him because usually
Normally he's a pissy drunk.
he happens to get a little belligerent. At 5:30 p.m., Nelson had drunk 10 fucking beer at the hotel bar, and his friend, who had also been drinking with him, offered to drive him home. Because it's the 70s, baby.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Dale agreed to the lift, but not before he ordered another 6-pack to go from the bar. Once again, the 70s.
Take out.
We have to get we've been drinking here all afternoon. My friend's driving me home. Could I get a 6-pack to go? Not a word from the bartender. Here you go, son.
There you go, boys.
Have a good one.
Good God.
Jesus fucking Christ. How is everyone who lived in the 70s not dead?
Right?
Yeah, I don't understand. Now, somewhere between being at the bar and getting a drive home, Nelson asked his friend if he can get him any drugs. Because it's Friday, bitches.
Yeah.
And we're going big. Later, both men claimed that Nelson had only asked about marijuana and the friend couldn't get any. But originally, it was claimed Nelson was looking for LSD, and the story changed after the fact. But I'm just putting out there, it's important to remember in this story that around 5:30 to 6:15 p.m., it's possible that Dale either acquired or ingested LSD. Because this is a big hot take by me. I have a big hot take for this.
Yep.
Yeah. Instead of being dropped off at home, though, Nelson got his friend to drop him off at Maureen McKay's house, and that's Dale's wife's sister. Maureen was going through a divorce and had borrowed a gun from Nelson for protection, and Dale wanted to get it back for the start of the hunting season. Maureen,
Fair enough.
Yeah, and this is a hunting rifle.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Like, totally makes sense. I want this rifle. It's one of my favorites, or I like it for blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Opens tomorrow. I want to go shoot.
Right? It's hunting season. I need my rifle back.
Especially when you are underemployed, I'm sure that is a massive part of your
Yeah, right? You pull home a couple deer, that's a lot of meat.
Yep.
I've never even hunted, but that's still a lot of fucking meat.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Maureen said she could tell that Dale had been drinking, but he didn't seem drunk, and once again, she said he was in a good mood, laughing, chatting. Dale's doing fine. He's had a couple drinks, but he's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Friday. Now, Maureen knew Nelson's problems because she's part of the family, but felt he was a decent guy, once again going through a tough time and drinking too much. But it turned out her kids were very fond of him, so, that helps.
What's Uncle Dale?
It is. Nelson chatted with Maureen and Shirley Wessick, who was also there, and bounced Shirley's 7-year-old daughter, Tracy Wessick, on his knee while they chatted. When Nelson left, he took a 7mm Mauser 98K rifle with him for the upcoming hunting season. So everything is normal. He's chatting, he's talking with people, even a 7-year-old kid isn't put off by him,
right,
bouncing on his knee. And I'm just putting out that rifle, it's a hunting rifle, but that's also what the Germans used as their standard rifle in the Second World War. So it's a powerful rifle he's got now.
Yeah.
Yay! Hey,
Hello, Mo.
Momo, the kitty just hopped up. Dale Nelson was next seen at 6:30 p.m. taking a car ferry across the Kootenai River back to Cranston. So he had gone home, got in the car, driven it to a car ferry, and took it back to town.
Woo!
He was also seen having a nip with the ferry operator before getting on the ferry,
Jesus
which I
Christ.
find hilarious. You driving the boat here? You want some of this vodka? And just take the edge off.
Yes. Should always operate the ferry while drinking.
Exactly. And I looked into it, why didn't he just drive there? The road there takes 20 minutes because it's a stupid country Canadian thing. The only way to get from West Cranston to normal, Cranston, is that stupid long road, or you can take a ferry, which takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, I was like, why do you have to take a fucking ferry?
Yeah. Because it cuts 3/4 of the drive off.
I got a lot of drinking to do.
Yeah, right?
It's Friday night, bitches.
I'm in a hurry.
Jesus Christ. Shortly after the ferry ride, Dale was seen driving himself through town. At this point, having drunk at least 10 beer and however much liquor he had with the ferry operator. At 7 p.m., he stopped for gas, picked up 2 boxes of rifle ammunition, and the shopkeeper later said Nelson smelled like alcohol, but he didn't seem to be acting drunk and was still in a good mood.
Yeah.
So everyone who's seeing him says he smells
Right.
like booze, he doesn't seem too drunk, he's in a good mood.
It's Friday night.
Dale's having a good Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times on a Friday night have we been out and seen our underemployed friends smelling like booze, seemingly in a good mood?
I mean...
And they haven't done anything, so yeah.
Nowadays, not so often, but... Oh, you mean in my life?
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
Jesus.
just ignoring COVID times. I meant in general in your life.
So many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've known this guy, and he's fine on Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah. Might be a little chippy Saturday morning.
We've known lots of these guys, and they're generally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the beating their wives. Yeah, I don't know too many domestic abusers.
And
I've been
driving
lucky that
drunk,
way,
but this is the early 70s.
Yeah.
Especially with the
I'm
driving
kind of
drunk.
looking at that in a cultural sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Look
don't
at where
hit your
they're
wife,
at.
though. Don't hit your
No.
wife. Yeah.
God, no.
Don't hit your husband either, but really don't hit your wife, because let's be honest, most of the time. Now, at 7:30, 4 hours into his binge, he dropped by a local auto shop and shared a few drinks with a friend. Nelson also wanted to check the rifle he had gotten from Maureen earlier, and they went behind the auto shop to test the rifle's sights and scope.
Well, I mean, it's been out of my possession. The kid may have knocked it around.
Right, you never know.
Could have fallen over. I don't know. I just want to make sure everything's working.
Exactly.
I want to make sure the sight's still lined up. It's
I'm
important.
going hunting tomorrow,
Yeah.
right?
If this sight says that it's going this way and it shoots off 30 degrees to the left, I'm having a bad day.
You're not getting any deer for your family.
No.
The friend who was with him said that Nelson smelled of alcohol and he shared drinks with him, but his aim was spot on.
Wow.
He was just pegging.
He was steady.
He's pegging, just nailing it. Which also, I'm putting this out there once again on my acid part. Acid will do this to you when you drink. If you're on acid and you're coming up on it and you drink, the acid trumps the alcohol. So you don't even seem drunk despite smelling like it, and you can do things that having drunk that much you shouldn't be able to. Because I've done this a couple times in high school, never as an adult, but I remember this, man. I remember this very well, that you can drink like a fish on acid, and if you're peaking, it doesn't really show up, but as you come down, you just get super fucking drunk instead of coming down. And it's,
that sounds horrible.
It's awful. It's the fucking
so
worst.
awful.
It's
Oh
the
my
worst
God.
turn in the night because you
Oh,
think
I
you're
don't
doing
like it.
fine, and it's like, oh yeah, give me another drink. I don't care. And then it hits, and it's like, Jesus, I'm in slow mo. And then, yeah, you just,
That sounds so bad.
yeah, you just end up drunk and sick, and it's an awful fucking night. Happy with the rifle sights, Nelson next went to pick up his Lehman press, which he had earlier pawned for money. A Lehman press is a hand press used to make ammunition, and it's commonly used by hunters to keep the cost of ammunition down and to modify bullets.
Right.
The only reason he would need this piece of equipment is that if he was truly looking forward to the start of hunting season the next morning.
Yeah. Obviously.
The reason I'm making a point of this is I've seen this misreported a couple times that it was a speed loader that he picked up. It was not a speed loader of any type to make him reload the rifle faster.
No.
It's a thing to make ammunition.
Yeah, which is going to be a whole day process. He's not getting it done in 30 minutes after he picks it up.
Think of packing the espresso maker.
Yeah.
When we make coffee. It's the
But
same
with,
type of
you know,
thing.
fucking explosive gunpowder.
And little tiny stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I've seen it, and that really pissed me off, is that they call it, you know, he picked up his auto loader the night of, and was like, no, it wasn't an auto loader. It was a Lyman press, which through research, because I don't know this shit, I've never hunted in my life, but yeah, it's for people to make their own bullets.
Yeah.
Just need a little rant about that.
Which is, you know, it's not even that uncommon among serious hunters or gun owners.
Oh, God, no.
To want to do that.
Yeah.
Especially, like, competitive shooters and hunters. Yeah.
I knew a guy when I was younger, and his father was a hunter. I remember him having that little area. I mean, but he had his press and stuff. It wasn't like it was fucking bullets laying around, but yeah, that's what it was for. It was for him to pack his own bullets. And we were allowed around it, and we were smart kids, and we stayed the fuck away from it. Yeah. Canadian kids.
I'm glad you were smart kids.
Yeah, right. But yeah, this show's at 8 p.m. He wasn't considering murder, and he was making plans for the future.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's thinking of the next morning.
Yep.
This is also an unemployed man on a drinking binge on a Friday, but he thought enough of having the Lehman press that he spent money to get it out of Hawk.
Right. Like, that's serious.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, it's not in his mind.
No.
What's about to happen
Hasn't even...
crossed his mind.
No, it couldn't have, because if you're going to spend money to get something that you are... Yeah, that's... Yeah, come on now.
Especially after drinking all day on a Friday.
Right?
Yeah. Also,
you could keep spending more money on booze.
you know how much more beer I can get?
Right? You get
They
it.
let me take 6 packs from the fucking bar.
Ah, they do takeout, for fuck's sakes.
Oh. Also, while he was getting this press, the shopkeeper commented that he, once again, smelled like he had been drinking heavily, but he seemed friendly and alert. He even helped her fix a lamp that wasn't working properly.
Like, yeah.
Delicate work.
Right?
Right? You're working with electrical there.
Yeah.
But on the way out of the shop, she said he had trouble with the door latch. Like he almost just missed it.
Weird.
Once again, LSD and alcohol, it can also come in waves. You have one more of one at one point, and then the alcohol kind of kicks up. Whoa, Jesus, I'm a little stumbly.
Also, I've been known to just miss a door latch when I'm sober, so...
Honey, I
you know.
told you this, like, today when I woke up. I tripped over air and spilled coffee fucking everywhere. Middle of a step with my right foot, and that's the foot that tripped somehow.
Ghost cat.
It must have been. 'Cause fuck, I almost went over. It was bad. You would have laughed. Lily laughed.
I'm sure she did. Mm-hmm. Crazy human. Why can't you see the ghost cat? I know it's there.
Giggling at you like the dog in fucking Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
At 8:30 p.m., 5 hours into his binge, Nelson decided he needed more liquor. And he stopped to pick up 12 ounces of brandy and a bottle of wine.
Woo!
So another pint of brandy this time instead of vodka.
God damn.
And some hooch. Some, I'm assuming, very high-end rosé.
So much alcohol. Like, even as, like, thinking back to when I would drink, I'm done. Like,
yeah, seriously though, if I drink that much that fast,
right?
I'm sick. I'm dead. Yeah.
I've been blackout drunk from a 6-pack just by drinking it too fast.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I have too. By 9 p.m., he was at the King George Hotel, and he was seen drinking with friends, being chatty and boisterous, and during the next hour, he drank 5 more beer. At 10:30 p.m., he and 2 friends, one of them Maureen's ex-husband John, the guy he had lent the rifle to Maureen to protect herself from, they went upstairs to a room one of them had rented. While they were upstairs, someone pulled out a guitar, and they sang, had more drinks, and Nelson had at least 2 more beer and some brandy. At around 11:30 p.m., Nelson left the hotel. So now a quick recap of the night. It's now 11:30 p.m., and since 3:30 p.m., a span of 8 hours, Nelson had drunk at least 17 beer and some brandy, not including the drinks he had at the auto shop while testing the gun sights, or with the ferry operator, or anything he might have drunk that wasn't observed. This is what he was seen drinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
so
this guy has a tolerance for alcohol.
He's been seen drinking, once again, in 8 hours, 17 beer, brandy, and was seen drinking other things, but yeah.
Basically 2 beer an hour the entire time.
Plus extras.
Yeah, exactly,
Plus
with bonuses.
Some extras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're...
Oh, plus he might have dropped acid, too. He might have dropped acid. Jesus Christ. So he's having a good Friday. He is at it. So imagine the scene. It's the 70s, you're super drunk, and the next thing to do is obvious. Pour yourself into your car, close one eye, drive home.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
If I close one eye, the spins slow down.
Right.
And then when you speed up again, I close the other eye. I'm in a tree. And obviously, that's what he does. It's the 70s.
Right.
It's a lost art. This drunk driving thing. Now, nobody knows when the decision was made for what happened next. But apparently, in the 35 minutes between when he was last seen at the Kootenai Hotel and when he was seen next, Nelson had decided he wasn't going home. Instead, Nelson went to Maureen McKay's cabin. This is the woman he had gotten the rifle from earlier. And he was partying with her husband before he left the hotel. Maureen was inside with a, quote, male friend named Frank, and they heard a car pull up to the cabin just after midnight. Just pointing out, male friend in 70s slang means they were fucking.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's code.
Oh, yeah. Her husband was off getting drunk. She was banging her side male friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, I mean, she has a rifle to protect herself from her ex-husband. She can fuck whoever she wants.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I thought he was her current husband.
No, ex. They're definitely ex.
Okay. Yeah. My mistake.
That's all right.
I heard you wrong.
And I might have even said it wrong. It happens. I am partially touched. As they weren't expecting anyone, Maureen and Frank were a bit alarmed and waited intently for a knock at the door. They heard footsteps come to the door, then nothing. Just the silence.
I don't like it.
Nelson stood outside the door for a few minutes and then turned around, just walked back to his truck. As he pulled out and drove away, Maureen and Frank went to the window to see who the fuck it was, because they didn't know, and they saw Dale's blue Chevy truck, and it was heading in the direction of Shirley Wessex cabin, just down the road.
Right.
5 minutes later, Maureen got a call from Shirley.
Hey.
Hey, you up? That wasn't the call.
I don't think so.
No. She sounded panicked and said Dale was in her friggin' yard and heading towards the house.
Huh.
Then she quickly hung up. Everything's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
The aggressive guy who thinks he's good with his dick when he's drunk is coming towards my cabin. Now, obviously, this scared the shit out of Maureen. Even more so because she knew that Shirley's husband, Alex, wasn't in town. She was home alone in the cabin with her kids. She asked Frank, her friend, to go over to Shirley's cabin and to make sure everything was okay. And Frank decided, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I got this.
What's the worst?
I'm a man.
If he was going to shoot us, he already would have, right?
No. No.
Well, Don't worry about Frank, because, I mean, he makes it look like he's going to try, but he does a classic man here.
Yeah.
Frank went to the Wessex cabin and knocked on the door. Shirley answered, but instead of asking if she was okay, like he fucking should have, for some reason Frank asked her if her husband was home, although he knew he wasn't.
Yeah, right? Why?
Shirley replied that no, my husband's not home, but Frank said he noticed the figure of a man behind her in the dimly lit room. Now this thick fuck.
How drunk was Frank?
How stupid is how much does Frank just want to go back and get his dick wet? Like, just get this over with. Like, we were making out. Come on. Like, goddamn it. Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, this thick bastard, despite knowing Nelson had been at Marines moments ago, and knowing Shirley had called panicked that he was coming towards her cabin, decided that was good enough for him, and he left.
Frank's a dolt.
Frank is adult. Get ready to hate Frank a little more. He later said that he felt like Shirley was being brisk with him and that she wanted him to leave. Instead of cluing into the fact she was probably shitting herself in fucking terror because a large, drunk, mentally ill man who gets horny when he drinks is in her house.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. Fuck. Good job, Frank.
Yeah, way to go, buddy.
And Frank would be the last person outside the family to see Shirley and her daughter Tracy alive.
Shocker.
Yeah. Inside the Wessex cabin, 12-year-old Debbie Wessex was drying in her room when she heard a car pull into the driveway. She went to the kitchen to see who it was, but her mother, who had also come to the kitchen, told her to go back to her room. Debbie went towards her room, but she was able to see Nelson come into the kitchen and Shirley talking to him. Debbie knew Nelson, as he was a friend of the family, so even though it was a strange time for him to show up, it wasn't like he was a stranger, right?
Right.
It's strange, but whatever.
Yeah.
He's been having a hard time, too.
Yeah.
Nothing is that amiss right now. Shirley offered Nelson coffee, and Debbie heard Nelson say something about, quote, a big pill. But she couldn't make out anything else. And that's when Frank knocked on the door.
Yeah.
Frank shows up. Blurp.
The most useless character in the entire story.
He might fucking be, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. According to Debbie, not long after Frank's half-assed visit, everything went quiet.
Hope he enjoys living with that.
As long as he got his dick wet, I'm sure he's...
No guilt.
He got what he wanted.
Yeah.
I'm a 70s man. A few minutes later, she heard her mother say, quote, no, Dale, don't, from her bedroom. Debbie was confused, went to her mother's room to see what was happening, and she said she heard what she thought was snoring from the room.
And it was not snoring.
She's 12, too. So, 12 in the 70s in rural Canada, you might be a little sheltered.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now, this part's a little confusing because either Debbie didn't think much of this and she went to hide in the kitchen to scare Nelson because that was a game that they played, or she did think something of it and went to hide in the kitchen. Either way, she ends up hiding in the kitchen.
Right.
While she was there, Nelson came into the kitchen with 8-year-old Charlene. Debbie sensed that something was way off about Nelson at this point when he got close. And she decided to stay hidden and not surprise him if that was the game she was trying to play. As Debbie watched, Nelson told Charlene to get him a sharp knife, and as if in a daze, Charlene complied. With knife in hand, he then led the 7-year-old to Tracy's room. At this point, it seemed to click for Debbie that this was a very bad situation and her mother probably wasn't fucking snoring in her room.
Yeah.
When Nelson and Charlene went to Tracy's room, she sneaked into her mother's room and locked the door behind her. Once inside, she saw Shirley on the bed laying face down in a pool of blood. Her hands were tied behind her back and her night clothes were pulled up to show that she had been sexually assaulted. Her head had obviously been bludgeoned and a bloody hair-matted fire extinguisher was laying next to her body. Debbie did what she could for her mother, rolling her on her side and propping her up with pillows. But before she could figure out what the fuck to do next, she heard a scream from her sister's room and she decided, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fucking out. She grabbed the fire extinguisher laying next to her mother, smashed the window, and crawled out. Debbie heard Nelson try the door when she broke the window, but the lock held, and she was able to get out, and she ran from the nearest cabin, which happened to be Maureen McKay's. So, like, out of a fucking horror film.
Yeah, the
like,
screaming child.
you're checking your mother who looks fucking dead. You hear your sister scream. You break a window to get out. You hear the fucking killer
Yeah.
rooting at the door trying to get in, and you just get out. Like, literally a fucking horror film. And then run through the night to the nearest cabin.
Hey, Frank.
Fucking Frank. Fuck you, Frank.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You're about to be interrupted again.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you did. Debbie got to Maureen's door, and being a human being and a small child, she was nearly screaming as she tried to describe what she had seen.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I would be screaming.
Yeah.
You would be screaming.
Oh my god, yeah.
12-year-old girl would
Yeah.
be screaming.
Yeah.
She was actually able to calm herself down enough to tell Maureen and Frank what had happened and that Nelson was still at the cabin with her sisters.
Yeah.
Maureen called the police, then she got Frank and Debbie in the car and left for the hospital. Which I agree with.
Yep.
You don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Call the
Not-
police and get the fuck out of there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We're not safe.
I ain't no fucking hero. I got one kid. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's more than anyone else saved in this.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. On the way, they actually ran into the police heading towards the Wessex cabin. And the police were so unfamiliar with the jumble of back roads in West Creston, they asked Maureen and Frank to turn around with fucking the 12-year-old kid with them and lead them back to the cabin so they could find it. Yep. They agreed, but by the time they arrived, it was quite a bit too late.
Yeah.
But only kind of.
Only kind of.
Only kind of. Back at the cabin, Nelson was performing some over-the-top nightmare fuel shit. Buckle up. After tying and beating Shirley with a fire extinguisher, Nelson had gone over to the room Charlene shared with Tracy. He attempted to choke Charlene, but she either struggled enough or put up enough of a protest that he stopped. He then performed oral sex on the 8-year-old girl.
Blah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
After he finished, Nelson asked Charlene to help him kill her sister. She refused, and he choked Tracy until she lost consciousness. So I'm not sure if Tracy slept through the assault on her little sister or what happened there, but I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is when he went to the kitchen with Charlene, and Debbie had seen them when she was hiding there. When they got back to the room, Nelson choked Tracy until he was sure she was dead. He then told Charlene to cut her stomach open with the knife. She again refused, so he took the knife and cut a 9-inch gash from her sternum to her pelvis, from which some of her organs were found protruding later. He then cut her stomach open, saw some semi-digested cereal inside, and proceeded to stick his face in it and eat it.
Ah!
When he finished, he picked up one of the children's dolls and wiped his mouth with the doll's dress. And this is how he got his prison nickname, Cornflake.
I shouldn't laugh, but that's so fucking bad.
That's one of the worst things we've done. We just did Lisa Bierland, and
This is so much worse.
and this is the start. This is only the first stop for this guy.
Oh, I know. Ah!
Now, after murdering Tracy,
Why did he need a snack?
I think he just saw it there. Sounds like an acid thing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a drunk thing to me.
Nope. I wonder what that's like, but
Oh, God.
tastes like burning.
Yeah. Ugh.
Now, after murdering Tracy, it looks like Nelson was just leaving the Wessex cabin with Charlene when the police arrived. So he's now got Charlene.
Yep.
The police pulled up and saw Nelson's blue Chevy still parked outside the cabin, and they assumed he was still inside. Obviously, his vehicle's still there. He's probably still there.
Right.
So as the police got out of their cars and got ready to basically charge the cabin, Charlene just appeared on the other side of the fence near the tree line wearing only a t-shirt.
Hey.
Yep, just hey. Obviously, the police kind of grabbed her, gave her to Maureen, who was still there with Frank and the other kid for some reason, probably because they just got there to show them, and they off to the hospital.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so now they think they don't know what the fuck's going on.
But hey, we've got 2 of the kids, let's get the fuck out.
Exactly. The police entered the Wessex cabin and found Shirley and Tracy's bodies, but they did not find Nelson.
You mean they didn't just park up the road and spend like an entire day looking at the fucking scene before they did anything?
Yeah, as a counterpoint to the 2020 rampage in Nova Scotia, that's exactly what they did at Porter Peak.
No one threw their gun in the woods and ran away?
No, they got the child they found to safety, and then they went into the cabin to see what happened.
They didn't leave children in a basement.
They absolutely did. Now, these guys make mistakes, and we're going to hit those.
Oh,
but the mistakes these guys make are heat of the moment, because they make a big one here.
Well, it's the 70s, too.
Yeah. So they went into the cabin. They found that Nelson wasn't there. They were convinced that Nelson's next target would be his family.
Right.
Makes sense. This is also the 70s. This happens a lot. So the police, without searching the area where Charlene had been found, they raced to Nelson's cabin to make sure his wife was all right.
Yeah.
Somehow, in their rush, the police left behind one of their unmarked police cars when they left. So they just packed everyone into one car, probably shitting themselves, thinking we need to race there because he's going to kill her. So this is a mistake I understand.
Yeah, I mean, they should have left someone back there since his truck was still there.
They don't really secure the scene, but I understand. They're probably dealing with only a couple people, like a couple police officers, and they're panicked that he's going for his wife.
Yeah, right.
They got to Nelson's cabin, and they found that Annette was okay. And so was her mother-in-law across the street. Annette told the police that Nelson might have the 98K rifle he got earlier from Maureen McKay with him, and informed him that, he's a hunter. He's good at this.
Yay!
So now the police know, too, he's probably heavily armed and a skilled hunter.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind when you listen to what the police do during this. Yeah. After this, one of the officers, they did think to go back to the Wysok cabin and secure the scene. Hey! When he arrived, Nelson's blue Chevy was gone, and there was a blood trail leading from the cabin to the unmarked police car.
Weird.
Really weird. And this blood trail was definitely not there before, just minutes before when they had left the Wysoks. Yeah.
Huh. Weird. Where'd that come from?
When the officer looked in the house, guess where it came from? He found the body of Tracy was now missing.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. And inside the police car, there were bloodstains all over the passenger side of the front seat. So the police didn't secure the scene, and they lost the body of the 8-year-old girl.
Geniuses.
They later figured out that Nelson had just been basically where Charlene came out of the woods. That he was startled when the police pulled up. Charlene got out of his grip and basically started to go towards them, and Nelson decided, I'm better off bailing.
Yeah,
go.
Right.
So if they had actually tried to secure the area, they might have found him.
Might have.
They might have.
Again, dark and woods, so you never fucking know. He still could have slipped away where he was already in the woods and not in the cabin. But
I'll put it this way. They've made some pretty big mistakes, but understandable mistakes.
Yeah.
Still doing 100% better than the 2020 rampage in Nova Scotia.
Absolutely.
Fuck you, RCMP.
Yeah, that was just such a shit show.
They're trying at least.
Yeah.
They're making errors that are because they're trying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're not just, standing around going, what, how are we going to spin this?
Yep. So later, Nelson said he just stood there and watched. He didn't even run. He was just standing there, watched the police do everything, go in, and then run back out. And when he realized the police were gone, he was like, fuck, I'm going to go get that body.
I think it was.
Yeah. Then when he was pulling, Jesus Christ, when he was taking Tracy's body, he mistook the police car for his truck. That's how the bloodstains got in, because
I assumed that the bloodstains came from him.
He put her in the passenger seat, got in, and probably tried to start the fucking thing before he realized, this ain't my truck.
Oops.
Oh, fucking hell. Now, as soon as they realized that Nelson was possibly armed, on the loose, and didn't seem to be targeting his own family, the police knew they had to act fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Wes Craven...
Sorry, I'm just thinking, if he had left her body sitting in the passenger seat of the unmarked police car, that would have been so much worse for them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It would
How'd she get here?
But then he wouldn't get to have the fun he has.
No, but oh my God.
He has fun. It's Dale's big night. But West Creston is a very rural place, and the police, they simply didn't have the manpower to patrol the entire area.
No.
So by 1 a.m., which is, this all started at 12:15, so within 45 minutes of this starting, all off-duty officers in Cranston had been called into the area, and they'd all been given high-power rifles.
Nice.
Yep. The officers were told of the danger Nelson posed, as he was a skilled shot with a rifle and he knew the area from hunting.
Yeah.
The police set up armed posts on the roads into town, and alerts were sent to nearby communities on both sides of the border.
Did they use Twitter?
No, it was 1970.
I know.
Yeah, look at what, once again, compared to the 2020 rampage, they told the police that were going out there the danger they were in.
45 fucking minutes.
Yep, they armed them heavily, and they cut off the road access to the area, got word out to nearby communities that this is happening. So, yeah, they made some mistakes, but in 45 minutes, they've got all this happening. Yeah. Unfortunately, before the commanding officer could leave the police station, a call came in at 1:05 a.m. from a terrified woman.
Boo.
Yeah. It was 26-year-old Isabel St. Amand, and she quickly told the officer that she was at the Phipps cabin and that there was a man in her house with a gun. Then she hung up. But when they tried to call her back, there was no answer.
Well, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
She's about to have a very bad time.
Yeah, so now we flip over to the Phipps house. This is the point I know I mentioned to you, and I would like everyone to do this. Right now, just hit pause on the podcast, go to YouTube, and I want you to look up 98K Mauser rifle. That's spelled Mauser, and watermelon. And just take a quick look at what this rifle does to a watermelon at short range. And keep that in mind as we move into the Phipps cabin. Because I've shown you, it just explodes the fucking watermelon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Phipps cabin was also on Corn Creek Road, the same road as the Nelson cabin.
Yeah.
The woman who called the police, Isabel St. Amand, lived there with her common-law spouse, Ray Phipps, and their 4 kids, Paul, who was 10, Kathy, 8, Brian, 7, and 18-month-old Roy. The family had no real connection to Nelson other than living on the same road, so they basically knew him to
Still stuck
wave.
on a baby named Roy.
I know, I can't. Poor
It's
Roy.
like naming a baby Linda. It's just wrong.
Roy gets a raw deal in all of this. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's the 70s, though. Maybe it was a more popular name. I hope it
Still,
wasn't.
though.
But 70s
Little
had...
baby Roy.
Yeah.
What? What is this?
It's a real Linda's club. So yeah, this family, no real connection, and yeah, didn't matter because the police arrived around 1:15 a.m., 10 minutes after the call from Isabel. 10 minutes. Once again, actually doing police work.
Yeah, that's pretty fast.
Husband Ray's body was sprawled out just inside the front door with the top of his skull missing.
Yeah.
He was shot from close range with a high-power rifle. Isabel was near the kitchen, face down with a bullet wound in the back of her head.
Yeah.
And it looked like she had basically seen Ray get shot, and then tried to flee and had been shot herself. Now on to the children. On the other side of the cabin, there were a set of bunk beds where they found Paul and Brian. Both had been shot in the head from short range in their beds. Kathy, the daughter, nowhere to be found. 18-month-old Roy was found in his crib, and from the positioning of his body, it appeared he had sat up, looked at Nelson, and been shot directly in the face.
Lovely.
So I'd also like to point out for the graphicness of this, that means...
There's just a child-sized bloodstain left of that kid.
And also, if he's laying in the crib, it's going to just be on the pillow. So the fact that they know he sat up and looked means it was all over...
the walls. It's everywhere.
Is the blood stain child size? No, it's actually...
Another questions to ask your realtor.
This one's infant sized. Bah. So from about 12:15 to 1:30 a.m., Dale Merle Nelson had killed 7 people, including 4 children, and now he had the body of one of his victims and an 8-year-old hostage. Dale's having a big night, man. Friday!
Woo!
By 6 a.m. that morning, extra police arrived in West Creston, and the manhunt for Nelson really began. So now it's not just locking it down, it's let's find this motherfucker.
Yeah.
People in the village were told to evacuate, and those that didn't were told to keep the doors locked and grab a fucking gun, because you're gonna want it.
Yeah.
A group of 6 officers...
Basically, if you see him, kill him.
Yeah, right. And a group of 6 officers and a sniffer doggo were sent out to try to hunt Nelson down. While talking to his friends and family, the police heard that few believed Nelson would be arrested peacefully, and they fully expected him to go down shooting. Which, what a fucking horrible thing to hear. But you know what? Even with this information from his friends and family, the RCMP put out a do not shoot fucking order on Nelson. They wanted to take him in and arrest him if they had the chance. Bravery in the RCMP.
Yeah.
Because that's fucking brave, man. Now, while going back to the Phipps cabin, an officer noticed a broken fence with fresh tire tracks on the dirt road, and he guessed that this might be from Nelson's truck. A plane was hired to search the area, and lo and behold, they found a fucking broken down blue Chevy truck on this dirt road. Shocker! At 4:30 p.m., the police on the ground found the car, ditched on an old forestry road. When they searched the car, they found a substantial amount of blood on the passenger seat. Not a surprise. 2 boxes of rifle ammo, and a hammer covered in blood and matted hair.
Nice.
The police then spread out and started searching the nearby area. 40 feet from the car, they found the severed arm of a little girl. Just 20 feet from that, they found Tracy's head.
Oh, God. He's just leaving bits.
A short distance from the girl's head, they found another arm. And
He's Hansel and Greteling with a child.
And from 20 feet from this, they found Tracy's torso with the remaining leg barely attached.
God.
And I hate to say it, but from the way I understand, this wasn't you went further and further into the woods. It was just down the road. So I'm imagining he's just tossing pieces of chopped up little girl out the fucking window as he has another little girl in the car with him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I forgot that there's another kid watching this happen.
Yeah. Assuming
I mean, I remembered that she was with him, but I kind of forgot. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about whether she'd still be alive at this point or not.
That's assuming she was still alive, and honestly, it seems like she was. If you're asking me, she was still alive for that.
Don't like it.
The limbs had all been severed with a sharp knife, and there had been little attempt to hide the body parts. Her heart and external genitalia had also been cut from her body, and they were never found. The police's best guess was that Nelson pulled Vince Lee, and he ate these body parts.
I mean, you gotta fuel your rampage somehow.
Now, I did the math of this. I hate to say it, but I did do the math of this. We did the Vince Lee, and I got into, is it possible to eat an adult human heart?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know about all, but you could eat like half. Well, a little girl's heart's about 1/3 to a half the size of an adult's.
Yeah, so you could probably do it.
He probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It was his big night. He was having his big night. The search continued, and the police eventually came across pajama bottoms near a creek and rope tied to 2 trees. They guessed that Nelson had tied Kathy Phipps there during the night, but still there was no sign of the 2. So, I don't even want to know. There's no details of what, but...
Yeah. That's not good.
Kathy reappears later, so...
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get to it.
Mm-hmm. Despite the evidence, the police were unable to find him that day, and Nelson and possibly Kathy spent the night in the bush. Because there's debate about when Kathy dies. Right. Nelson claims he killed her at the Phipps cabin, but...
Yeah.
Like I said, I disagree.
Next, I do too, based on the pajama bottoms and ropes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The next day, Sunday the 6th, the police still had no luck finding Nelson around the car or with the doggo-assisted search team.
Yeah.
So they can't find this motherfucker.
Yeah. He's in the wind.
The police, desperate for any lead, took Annette back to the cabin she shared with Dale to see if anything was missing.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he came back. Well, funny about that, they went back about 4 p.m. on Sunday with the CSI team to start working the cabin, and Annette noticed that a bottle of aspirin and a can of beans had gone missing. I don't know why that cracks me up. So, aspirin and beans. One of the CSI also noticed that a plastic covering that had been over a window had been cut, and they realized that Dale had been back to the cabin at some point during that weekend.
Obviously.
The CSI went outside, saw footprints underneath the window, followed them, and he actually found fucking Dale behind the cabin, set up behind a couple logs with his rifle, passed out cold. Completely out fucking cold. The CSI, not being a hero and being pretty smart, I like this guy, quietly backed away. Went and told the police where he had found Nelson, and the police, also not being too stupid, set up a perimeter with all the police around with all their rifles. Then they started calling for Nelson to give himself up.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like how they handle this. Yeah, let's get everyone out of here.
Yeah.
So we don't go for him, and he starts firing, and he shoots his fucking wife by mistake because she's in the cabin, right?
Yeah, fuck that.
Right? So yeah, they called out to him on a bullhorn, no response. They called out to him again with a bullhorn, no response.
Wake the fuck up, asshole.
On the third time, he said he's not coming out, and now enter the biggest hero of this entire horrible, shitty story, Officer Count, the German Shepherd.
Aww.
Yep. After the third call, Nelson refused, and Count was sent in to take Nelson out. Count ran straight to Nelson, took him to the ground like a good boy, and the police rushed in, arrested Dale Nelson, and Count was absolutely fine. Not a scratch on him. So, the biggest hero of it all
Of course.
is Count, the German Shepherd police dog.
Good doggo.
He's a good boy.
I do my job.
When he was taken into custody, Nelson was a complete fucking mess. The police said he was shaking, having trouble breathing, and all he asked for was water and cigarettes. When he was given these, he opened up, he told the police he had killed Kathy, and then he drew a map showing where the body was. When the police looked at the map, they were really skeptical because the spot he showed was 150 feet from his car, or from the truck, and they know they had searched that area.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we had been there, so they're really skeptical they're going to find Kathy's body. Well, the police went back to Nelson's car, searched the area again, and they found Kathy's body exactly where Nelson had said she'd be. Kathy's body was found face down, wearing only a t-shirt and with a deep stab wound in her back. And there was also blood around the back of her head. When the police turned her over, they saw that she was partially disemboweled.
Yeah.
There were signs she had been sexually assaulted and sodomized, and although no semen was found, a broken wine bottle with Nelson's fingerprints and her blood was found nearby. So, no semen, but a bloody broken bottle.
You know.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some fun.
All I'm saying is we're through the worst of it. Woo! If you made it through that, that's all of it. You've made it through the worst of Dale Nelson.
Yeah, I mean, gruesomeness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, during questioning, one of the first things that Nelson said to the police was, quote, "It must have been the LSD."
Right.
He just comes out and says it.
Yeah.
He admitted to all the killings, but he claimed that Kathy was killed in the house like everyone else on Friday night. So that's where he claims he killed him, or killed Kathy at the Phipps house. But the police doubted this story, and they thought he had killed her during the manhunt. After initially talking to the police and being cooperative, Nelson later stopped talking about the murder because, quote, "It wasn't pleasant to think about," and described to a psychologist how, quote, "It was like I was standing there watching somebody else, but I knew it was me doing it." Now, here's my big hot take. To me, this doesn't sound like he's trying to avoid responsibility. It doesn't sound like it was my other personality.
No.
he doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand how he did this, and he doesn't want to think about it because he's a normal fucking person who did a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to think about it. He's not Bundy or Kemper trying to be...
He's not getting hard thinking of his next fucking kill.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
There's a difference.
And the fact...
Something went off the rails that night.
Yeah, and the fact that the first thing he says is about the LSD. The other point I'd like to make is this might be the first time he's done acid since the electric shock therapy in January.
Touche. Yeah.
How's that going to affect you after that, right? Also, picking up the Lyman press, like we talked about, shows he was thinking about hunting season at 8 p.m., so somewhere between 8 and 12, those 4 hours.
Yeah, right.
He went from being fine and thinking about the future to going on a murder fucking spree with some of the most awful details we're ever going to hit.
Yeah.
So, all of that just, it screams more than just drunk snapping. Like, I really feel like, yeah, he was on acid with the alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which still isn't a combo that's automatically going to make you snap and kill people. But
yeah. And then also he recanted his acid statement, I believe, because he didn't want to get his friend in trouble.
Yeah. Because
this friend was mentioned, like you can find articles that mention him by name. I didn't mention him by name because I don't think it's worth it.
No.
Right? Yeah, I really think... And he even says at one point when asked about the LSD, quote, he didn't want to get anyone else in trouble. Yeah. So everything, just, yeah.
Everything points to him being on LSD.
Right.
And just not wanting to fucking have his friend go down for something that went wrong with him.
Yeah. I really feel like that's what happened.
Yeah, it's not my friend's fault.
And the way he doesn't seem to understand it, that's such, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Nelson was evaluated and questioned extensively prior to his trial, obviously.
Of course.
Because of the severity of his crimes and his history of mental illness, it was very important to determine whether he was legally sane or not at the time of his crimes.
Yeah.
And obviously, in short, prosecution said he was sane. The defense doctors found him insane. Now, I love this. The prosecution's doctors used a well-written and very coherent letter Nelson had sent to one of his doctors in which he praised the bravery of the police that had caught him. Yeah, to prove he was sane. And I read that letter. He goes on about, I could have killed so many times during that weekend. I saw these brave RCMP looking for me, not knowing I had them in the scopes.
Yeah.
I could have blown them away, and I couldn't. Like, how can you, like, that was one of the most brave things I've ever seen. And it's a long letter just going on like that. Once again, 2020 fucking rampage in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
I don't think you can put one single good word towards bravery of any of those. Except for maybe the last guy.
I don't even think his actions were brave.
No.
He looked like he was shitting his pants while shooting him.
That's real bravery.
Yeah.
Now, Creston was a very small community like we talked about. Everyone was aware of what had happened, and many of them either knew Dale or one of the victims of the crimes.
Yeah.
It was determined that a trial couldn't be held in this small town, and the venue was moved to Cranbrook, about 100 kilometers away.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Now, despite being this close to one of Canada's worst spree killings, people of Cranbrook knew almost nothing about the massacre, and almost no press showed up to the trial. Fucking nobody. Before the start of the trial, the prosecution made multiple moves to simplify the case. They were worried that the number of victims, number of locations, and just the severity of the crimes might overwhelm a small town jury in Canada in the 70s.
You think?
Yeah. The prosecutors decided to try only 2 of the murders, those of Kathy Phipps and Tracy Wessick.
Yeah.
The idea was that this was one person from each house. They were both found near Nelson's car, and basically just focus on these 2. They explain the case without overloading the jury with a bunch of details. So on the first day of the trial, the prosecution started by explaining every fucking detail of the events of September 4th and 5th to the jury. This jury was so fucking sheltered that the prosecutor had to stop and explain to them what cunnilingus meant.
Oh my god.
Yep. Which he did in graphic detail.
Oh god.
These jurors were clearly not ready for what was about to come. Because this was the beginning of the fucking trial.
Yeah.
And the prosecutor has to stop and explain in detail
God.
to these sheltered fucking 70s Canadians what cunnilingus is. Yeah. People who had seen Nelson that day were called to testify, and they all had the same story, which is, like we've said, he was seen drinking heavily,
Yeah.
he smelled like alcohol, but he seemed fine the entire night.
Yeah.
On the third day of the trial, Nelson's friend John McKay was called to the stand, and he had some interesting information. After clearing the courtroom, McKay testified that Nelson had done LSD about 8 months before, which would have been after his electric shock.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would have been February that he did acid. And while tripping, he had attacked one of his friends.
Huh. Weird.
Neither the defense or the prosecution was happy to hear this testimony. The prosecution felt that it might set up an insanity defense or an argument for manslaughter, while the defense thought the LSD story might sour the conservative sheltered jury.
That's what might do it?
Yeah.
That.
Because of this, the judge ruled that this testimony wasn't to be allowed, and the jury never heard John's story. I found that very interesting. After more testimony from the prosecution, including hearing from Charlene and Debbie Wessick, and a pathologist having to explain to the jury what semen is.
My God.
Yep. That's how bad this jury is. They don't know what cunnilingus is.
They don't even know what semen is.
They don't know what semen is.
Oh my god.
The defense took over on day 7.
Yeah.
They pushed for insanity while highlighting Nelson's history of mental illness, and they also focused on the complete lack of motive for the crimes. The prosecutors tried to counter this with technical medical questions about insanity, the majority of which was well over the jury's head. I read some of it way over my fucking head.
Yeah.
No idea what they're talking about. With the waters fully muddied and the jury thoroughly confused, the defense rested. Knowing the complexity of the case and the troubles the jury had in keeping up, Justice Akins took 6 hours to instruct the jury before going to deliberate. At the end, he probably overstepped his boundary too when he stated, quote, "I venture this opinion that this is manslaughter or guilty by reason of insanity."
Yeah, that's overstepping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The jury went to deliberate, but came back within the hour to ask for dinner.
We're hungry.
After dinner, the jury took another hour to disregard Justice Akins' guidance and find Dale Merle Nelson guilty of non-capital murder, and he was given a life sentence. Because technically at this time, Canada did have the death penalty on the books. We hadn't used it in a while, but yeah, it's non-capital. Nelson was sent to Patsquai Prison in Mission, BC, where it's rumored he was nicknamed Cornflake by the other inmates. And he died there 29 years later in 1999 of throat cancer at the age of 59. And that is the fucking...
Lovely tale of Dale Nelson.
The lot story of Dale Nelson.
It's a lot.
But yeah, I mean, to me, I haven't hit another spree or anything like that yet that screams so much LSD to me.
Yeah.
Just the eating the fucking cereal out of the little girl's hacked open stomach.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's fucked up, man. Yeah. Like, I don't know what to say to that.
No, me either.
Yeah.
Like, I'm stumped.
Yeah.
And it just, it seems like the testimony from his friend should have been allowed. And it also seems like you had a completely shit situation with that jury.
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
when you're starting off and the first thing you really have to do is explain
Fucking
sexual term.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
guys.
So that's...
Guys.
But at least they got it right.
Yeah,
I mean,
they didn't get it super wrong. Not like they let him go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, manslaughter or non-capital, who really cares? He went to jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, might even been a bit much, because I feel like this is a guy, this might have been a one-off.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah. You could have given him 20 years. I'm sure he could have lived his last 9 without completely,
Right.
eating the cornflakes out of a little girl's stomach, or
You never know, though. Maybe he would have just doubled down.
hacking a girl apart and just flinging her out the window as you drive.
You know, I'm done with this one.
Sexually assaulting a little girl with a broken bottle. You know, any of this.
None of this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do none of it.
None of it.
Yeah. That sounds awful.
So, if you like that story,
There's something wrong with you.
you need to do a deep evaluation of everything you stand for. Seriously, get help. But yeah, if you like that story, feel free to rate, review. I think you can also start follow us or what the fuck ever on different platforms. There are things you can do. But, you know, we
subscribe.
we barely know what we're doing. Yeah. Or you just tell people about us, because that's kind of our easiest.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah, exactly. That was a fun one, though, wasn't it?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah. I told you there were just so many good little details. Like,
I wasn't ready.
that's what we shoot for. This is why we do it. You want to come in soft with, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but Gary Ridgway, he strangled a bunch of prostitutes.
Yeah.
That was it. That's the entire story. Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about really fucking weird, terrible cases.
Yeah, that nobody knows about. How does... This is fucking... Man. This is such an over-the-top spree. Like, this might be the epitome of a spree killing for me, too. Like, hour and 15 minutes, over-the-top, fucking...
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, also contrast the police to the 2020 rampage. I mean, it couldn't be more black and white there.
No, it could not.
You know, like, that couldn't contrast more.
Oh, fuck no.
Like how these police in 1970 in BC acted.
They had balls, apparently.
Yeah, they actually did things and tried. And mistakes were made, but they were made in the heat of the moment. Whereas, I mean, the Nova Scotia shooting, they never get in front of them. It takes
not once.
13 hours before they even get a statement out, and they don't even get the fucking statement out because the shooter gets killed.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway.
I find it interesting that one force had a do not shoot order, and another force fucking executed him. So, hey.
Well, it's
a mess.
It's
a fucking mess.
It really is.
It's still a mess.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a mess.
It is. Oh, we also still have our producer, Mickey Gorman. So
she's not sick of us yet.
Yeah, right. Somehow. So until next time, as always, have fun and play safe.
Bye.
Bye. You can email us at mentalillnesstheater@gmail.com. And you can find us on social media at Mental Illness Theater, The Worst on Facebook, Mental Illness Theater on Patreon, and Unicorn Holes on Instagram.